This won't be too long. I I'm gonna try to do this every Sunday because Sunday is when I really do most of my analysis. If you are new to my channel, thanks for joining me. This is just something that I am passionate about and I want to share. Hold on, let me turn off my boy real quick. Don't want to infringe or impose, get any type of copyright strikes or anything like that. Oh, I think I just broke my chair. So, this is what we're looking at. I'm gonna go through and basically just analyze the pairs that I watch on a regular basis. And if you guys have any questions or any suggestions or any kind of ideas or thoughts of your own, feel free to ask me. If you're a beginner, good luck. Welcome to probably the most exciting profession in the world. So here, this is the UFD shift on a weekly chart. These lines, I'm actually starting to use yellow now because okay, anyway, that's not allowing me to, it's not allowing me to, oh, there we go. Yeah, I started changing my colors to yellow. It just makes them easier to see, and it just really helps seeing how price is moving in the zone. So just a little brief introduction to the style of trading that I have developed over the last year or so. Mainly I'm a swing trader, so that means that I like to hold positions for long periods of time. Now I can hold 1, 2, 3, up to 3 weeks. It just depends on how the trade is going and where I'm at with the trade. Something that I've learned to do is to cut your losers. Now, that's one thing. When I first started trading, I would hold on to losers too long thinking that they were going to come back, and they usually never do. So this, to me, you missed the move. That's how I like to look at it. You actually should have sold last week. So last week, if you would have got in right here, would have been an ideal spot to try and sell at. Now, I personally think that you've missed a move, so I'm going to put a resistance. I use nothing really on my charts. I trade naked, which means that I don't really use any indicators or any type of you know, if you see some people's charts, they have a lot of these indicators, whether it's RSI, Satoshi, I don't know. There's so many of them. You name them, but you know what I'm talking about. I don't trade with that. I usually just trade with support and resistance. So what I see here is some resistance, you know, previous support that should now turn in resistance. So what I would look for this week on a USD shift is going to be some pullback. I mean, I like RSI as far as just to give me an idea of how long the move has been going, but I've noticed that depends, some pairs it don't matter. I've seen RSI go up here to the top of the screen. So for me, USD shift is a no trade. That's another thing that I've started to start doing. When I first started trading, I would be like, oh, it's going up, oh, it's going down, oh, it's going up, oh, it's going down. No, you decide on Sunday. I decide on Sunday whether a trade is a buy or a sell, and until the next Sunday, that's it. I'm only looking for buy setups. I'm only looking for sell setups. You can't change your mind. You can't go against your bias, against your analysis, and basically against your gut feelings. So for me, I'm not touching USD Chef. It is already been selling off for a while. You know, look at this big drop. So I would be waiting probably for it to come up here and retest this up here. Yeah, so I would look for it to come back up and test this resistance right here, and probably, honestly, this is just my opinion, mind you. This is not financial advice. I have lost a lot of money over the last 3 years. Okay, so just for full disclosure and as a disclaimer, I have been attempting to learn how to trade for approximately 3 years. This was what I found um, after my divorce. So I was, you know, looking for something to improve upon my life, right? Like I have a job, I go to work like everyone else, but I wanted something that was gonna get me out of that 9 to 5 rat race. So I found Forex, and I've been kind of dibbling and dabbling in it for the last 3 years. I've never traded demo, which could have been a mistake. A lot of people say it was, and I'm down a few grand, you know. However, one pair, one trade can catapult you to a different tax bracket, to a different mindset, to a different attitude about trading. And I firmly believe that. So I'm sticking with it. I think it's something everyone should at least, I won't say it's not for everyone. I won't say that. But if you're interested, don't give up. That's all I'm going to say. So yeah. Now, what I like to do is I go to overall, right? So looking at this is a monthly time frame. Really, I mean, if you look at this, it doesn't go in straight down, but going back to some previous supports, you can kind of go back. I like to go back, let's just say 2 or 3 years, right? You see how all those kind of stop right there? So that's really, you know, if the USD Chef breaks, to me, this is my opinion again, I'm going to say that because, you know, nobody can predict the future. If the USD Chef breaks these levels, I mean, we could see 95 easy. You know, I personally missed this move because I've been watching it since about right here. But I did not and do not want to over leverage yourselves. You know, you don't want to be in too many trades. So in my plan, I can only trade 4 times a week. This wasn't one of the trades that I was able to take. All right, another pair that I look at is Euro NZD. Now, Euro NZD looks like it's in an uptrend. I mean, if you see here, it's clearly going up. Now, these lines are lines that I had from, you know, I go back on the monthly and I make my lines. So if you look at Euro NZD, which is what I did last week, you'll see now the all-time high is way up here. I'm gonna put a line up here because you just never know. You just never know, right? And this is a lot of space over here. There's a lot of space for Euro and ZD to run. Now, this is another resistance right here. You see? It's another resistance. All right. So now come out a little bit more. All right. That's resistance. Really. And see, so the way I look at this, and I drew this zone last week. I drew that zone last week. So I'm going to add a bigger zone because that was a pretty important zone to me. See all this traffic, all these stops. When price kind of slows down, that's when you know you have some resistance. So what I saw last week, if we break down to like the 4-hour chart, right? This is what I saw. So I was thinking that Euro NZD was getting ready for a sell. Okay. You was looking here, it looks like it's getting ready for a sell. But I don't know what happened Friday, but something happened and Euro and ZD got really good news. So now this resistance could actually become support. So now you could see that we might have potential to get to this next target of 175. So that's something that I'll be looking at on my radar. Again, trade at your own risk. So Euro NZD, I could be looking for buys if I get a buy candlestick pattern, which could be, anything. It could be 3 crows. We could get a double bottom again, because this kind of looks like a double bottom on the 1-hour chart. So if Euro NZD breaks probably 173, I think our next stop is 175. Hey, again, that's just my opinion. Trade at your own risk. This Chef JPY, so there's only 4 pairs that I look at in silver, and so that'll be it, and that's all. Chef JPY, I wasn't in this trade. I've been just watching, and this is clearly in an uptrend. This is another one where if it breaks this level that it was at last week, there's a potential for it to keep going to the next level. However, I'm looking for sales here. I'm looking for it to reverse at least a little pullback from this level right here, because this previous support, right, and this downtrend could become resistance. So I'm only going to look for sell setups. This is strong bullish momentum 3 days in a row, but I fully expect price to pull back some at this level, maybe back down to 109 before continuing up, or it could be a hard drop back down all the way to back down here. You just never know with the markets. The best thing to do is to just kind of keep your eyes open, and keep your eyes peeled for entries on the lower time frames. You see, if you go right here and you look on the lower time frame, you see that it's already kind of having, it's met some resistance at the 109, 110 level. Also, you look in here, this is another little tool that I use. RSI is way oversold, so I fully expect some pullback. How far? I don't know, but I fully expect some pullback on this pair. Okay, 2 more to go. USD peso. This is a tricky pair, very, very tricky. For one, our president tends to spout off at the mouth. So it puts the peso, the markets, it makes the markets volatile when he says things like that. So him announcing sanctions or things like that causes currencies to fluctuate. So you can see this is pretty much just been kind of consolidating. I mean, I'd rather look at the weekly. So if you look at the weekly chart, you kind of see it's just been up and down, right? But overall, I would say, and you can see it for yourself, that this guy is in a trend, is in a downtrend. Clearly, right? Clearly in a downtrend. So on this pair, I remember this clearly because this, let me show you. This day was when he announced the tariffs on Mexico. So when he announced the tariffs on Mexico, boom, the dollar shot up, right? And then, you know, a few days later, he took them off. Boom, dollar shot down. Now, some people will sit here and say, oh, it just rejected the trend line. Okay, and maybe that's true. You know, I've yet to discover which is which, and I don't worry about that. So now that, boom, the dollar was already weak, right? It was already going down. So he announced the tariffs to quote unquote strengthen the dollar. When he took them off, it exposed the dollar to more weakness. So for me, I totally see more downside for the USD and peso, and I'm talking down here. I'm talking like in the 18s, 17, 8. That's what I want to see. So for me this week, USD Mexican, I'm looking to sell. Last week I entered a short sale, but this candle, I'll show you guys. This, because it was earlier actually. Yeah. Yeah, last week I got short around here, but the market moved against me, so I got out, closed with a small loss. So this week, with this being, see, I want that out here. So see, all this traffic, all this to me is resistance. All this is resistance. So all that's resistance. All that. So I'm gonna make my zone a little smaller. So again, I would be looking for sales, and for this is basically a retest, and I look for a continuation back down to here. All right, last but not least, silver, my baby. Silver.